with my op-ed today over at HartmannReport.com. And it's about this judge. His name is Michael Kaczmarek. He's 45 years old. He was put on the federal bench in Texas by Donald Trump. A group that includes, according to Ms. Magazine, a lawyer who is married to Josh Hawley, the wife of Senator Josh Hawley, opened shop in the county where this judge sits just so they could bring a case before him. It's not because they want to ban Mifepristone, the abortion-inducing drug in this county in Texas. It's because they want to do it for the whole United States. This guy's a federal judge. In fact, he has said, quote, so-called marriage equality has put America on a road to potential tyranny and reflects a complete abuse of the rule of law principles. He's also said, this is a verbatim quote, it's a paragraph in the Washington Post. They did a profile of this judge this weekend. Quote, the social revolution ushered in a world where an individual is an autonomous blob of silly putty, unconstrained by nature or biology, and where marriage, sexuality, gender identity, and even the unborn child must yield to the erotic desires of liberated adults, end quote. So, there's been a lot of discussion about this. This guy, there's this whole movement to ban Mifepristone. Mifepristone, by the way, has been on the market for more than 20 years. It's been taken by more than 10 million people in the United States. Originally, it was a drug that helped with miscarriages. It helps, empty the uterus when there's a partial miscarriage, which is a real problem. 1 in 4 pregnancies end in miscarriage, and a substantial percentage of them are very difficult, and women take the Mifepristone, and it makes the miscarriage very quickly end, right? This is, at the stage where it's just like a bad period. And then, they combine it with another drug, and the two of them together are used to cause abortions during the first trimester. It's been used millions of times in the United States. It's literally safer than Tylenol. Literally safer than Tylenol. Multiple studies. In fact, I think it should be an over-the-counter drug. So why do they want to ban it? Well, all the news reports have been talking about, well, they want to ban this because they want to reduce the number of abortions. I say that's BS. It's not because they want to reduce the number of abortions. I mean, of course they do, and that's one of the arguments that they're making. But that's not their primary goal. If that was their primary goal, reducing the number of abortions, they'd be putting their money and effort, or at least some of it, into expanding sex education, into making contraception widespread and available and cheap. They'd be pushing universal health care, particularly for fertility age young women. They'd be advocating government support for low-income families with children. Instead, almost universally across the board, the forced birth movement opposes all of those things. No, this is about something completely different. This ban on Mifepristone, in my opinion, is for one primary reason only. Now, just listen to this. Consider this. Nobody else is suggesting this, to the best of my knowledge. And I think I'm right. If you think I'm wrong, let me know. But if you get an abortion, if you're a woman who gets an abortion with Mifepristone, you do it at home. You do it privately. You get the drug through the mail, or your doctor has you pick it up at the local pharmacy. If those kinds of abortions are gone, women are going to have to go back to abortion clinics. And as soon as they have to go back to abortion clinics, they're going to be subject to all the things that these religious freaks do at abortion clinics. They scream at them, they threaten them, they photograph them, they put them on social media. They curse them, they photograph them, they follow them home. They photograph the woman's license plates. They publish their names, their addresses, their telephone numbers. They harass them. They use social media to invite hordes of fellow fundamentalists, along with random misogynists, incels, and militia members, to stalk them and terrorize them. They call them on the phone repeatedly, in the middle of the night. They email them. They stake out their homes, all to gleefully torment them. This is not about banning abortion. This is not about reducing the number of abortions. This is about torturing women who have rejected the religious beliefs and mandates of this fringe of the pro-life movement, or the anti-abortion movement, or the forced birth movement, whatever you want to call it. These are the people who want to carry on the tradition of Hate Evil Nutter. Hate Evil Nutter was the guy who in Dover, New Hampshire, back in the day, when a group of young women, 3 young women, their names were Ann Coleman, Mary Tompkins, and Alice Ambrose, defied Hate Evil Nutter, who was the pastor of the local church. That was really his name, Hate Evil Nutter. They defied this guy and held to Quaker beliefs. In the Quaker religion at that time, women could speak in church. That was not allowed in Hate Evil Nutter's church. And so he ordered them punished. They were tied to the back of a cart. I told you this story a year ago. They were tied to the back of a horse-drawn cart in the middle of the winter, with snow up to the leg-high snow, up to your waist, stripped naked and whipped. John Greenleaf Whittier wrote a poem about it. It's called How the Women Went from Dover. It starts out, the tossing spray of Cocheco's fall hardened ice on its rocky wall, as through Dover town in the chill gray dawn, 3 women passed at the cart tail drawn. Bared to the waist for the north wind's grip and keener sting of the constable's whip. The blood that flowed, each hissing blow, froze as it sprinkled the winter snow. A local man, George Bishop, wrote at the time of this incident, he said, Deputy Waldron caused these women to be stripped naked from the middle upwards, tied to a cart, and after a while he cruelly whipped them while the priest stood and looked and laughed. Whittier's poem, well, and then just whipping them in Dover wasn't enough. Hate Evil Nutter wanted, wanted it even worse. So he decreed that they would be dragged through over 80 miles of roads through 11 nearby towns. So as John Greenleaf Whittier records in his poem. So into the forest they held their way by winding river and frost-rimmed bay, over wind-swept hills that felt the beat of the winter sea at their icy feet. In Hampton, the next town over, the Sewell's History of the Quakers records, so he stripped them and then stood trembling, whip in hand, and so he did the execution. Then he carried them to Salisbury through the dirt and the snow, half a leg deep, and here they were whipped again. Back to Whittier's poem. Once more the torturing whip was swung. Once more keen lashes the bare flesh stung. Oh, spare, they are bleeding, a little maid cried, and covered her face, the sight to hide. If her cry from the whipping post and jail pierced sharp as the Kenite's driven nail, O women at ease in these happier days, forbear to judge of thy sister's ways. I mean, this is nothing new. This has been going on throughout history. I mean, literally, 7,000 years of the history of Western civilization. Crusaders for Zeus, Ra, Thor, Odin, Aphrodite, Venus, Yahweh, Shiva, Rama, Krishna, Jesus, Quetzalcoatl, Muhammad, Ziapak, Ishtar, Amen, have punished and killed women who defied their male authorities. Right now, this is going on in Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, the Philippines. Hindus in India, fundamentalists, burn women to death if they defy the religious authorities or the patriarchs of their families. It's been going on for thousands of years. This is sadism. And that's what's going on here. This is not, in my opinion, about reducing the number of abortions. This is about making women run the gauntlet.